Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. It's me again, Jen. Hello. And it is Tuesday. It is the 29th of September. So we are on one of our final cards for the month of September with the Goddess Tarot, which we've been reading from the entire month. It is a tarot deck that's been in my collection for quite some time. It is written and illustrated by Chris Walder. And as you can tell by the book, I have used it quite frequently for things like oracle reading, but not so much with doing tarot readings. I'm not opposed to doing tarot readings with it. They're just a very large deck. It's almost the like size of my hand, so it makes it kind of difficult to work with. And I know usually I talk about the imagery on the cards, but I feel like the practical application of this too, of like it's a very big deck that makes it a little harder to work with. So without further ado though, let's see what card we have for one of our final ones for the Goddess Tarot. Well, that's lovely. I hope we end as high on a very high note because this one is definitely really good. This is the Star, and the Star is represented by Inanna, who is a Sumerian goddess. I don't know how many know like Bronze Age sort of goddesses and mythology and the like, but she definitely is an excellent representation of the star. So this did not change its name. In the case of the major arcana, it remained the star. It is still the star. And Inanna's, you can kind of see here, she's wearing like a belt, or as they call it, a girdle, and it is stars. One of the stories about her, and please, it's been a while since I've told the story or thought about it, so I hope I don't screw it up totally. Basically, she goes down into the underworld to rescue her consort, whose name escapes me at the moment. And she basically sells her jewels to save him. So her jewelry being the stars, so her necklace and her crown and her earrings and her girdle and all of these things she gives up to bring him back. So she's kind of a goddess that crosses that threshold once again, a lot like Isis crosses the threshold of life and death. In the case of the star, typically, more traditionally, the star represents the self and really understanding what that is and connecting to that self-assurance and the high self-esteem and those kinds of things. But in this case, too, it is that connection between the higher self or the heavenly self, as well as our more earthly, grounded self. She is a goddess of the stars. She's also a goddess of the moon and of water. The Sumerians kind of had this theory that water and rain and things like that came from the moon. I would love to know how that worked, why they felt that way. It's super interesting. But she did. She was both a water goddess and a moon goddess, as well as a celestial goddess of the heavens, queen of the heavens, so to speak. So I see this as a great representation of the star. If you look at, obviously, her girdle being made of stars, her jewelry being made of stars. Stars are kind of a big thing in her mythology, but also that sense of self and the ability to kind of approach every trial and every adventure as with the confidence of, if not knowing that you're going to make it, at least knowing that you can rely on yourself. So self-reliance, self-sufficiency, all of those things are very present in the stories of Inanna and also in the star. So I really like that she is that symbol for those things. I also love that really it kind of represents both things in the pictures of this. It's hard to tell, I know on the camera, but when I take a picture of it, you'll see the background looks like a cave. It looks like it's underground. There's sort of stalactite and stalagmite all around, and they're kind of flow rock formations, which again brings us back to that water. but it is the underworld. So you have behind her in this background her journey to the underworld and her journey into those depths to save her consort. But she is represented on a backdrop of the sky, and she has the circle of the stars around her, and she's still wearing all of her jewelry. I don't remember if she gets her jewelry back. I don't remember exactly the whole story. It kind of reminds me of the story of there's a Greek story too where it is a male who goes down into Hades to bring back his beloved, and I totally spaced on both of their names at this moment. So but there is an interesting musical called Hadestown that's recently come out, and so you can learn more about it there, I guess. Anyway, I'm not like recommending the musical or anything. I think it's great, but nobody is paying me to recommend it. So I do really like that this story kind of carried through into another mythology, even though the gender of the characters changed and things like that. It is interesting that this idea of kind of going down in to the depths of the earth, into the underworld to rescue your consort, and by kind of giving up your earthly possessions and knowing your worth from who you are inside, and it has nothing to do with your crown or your status in the world. It has nothing to do with beauty or external sorts of things. All of these things are given up in order to truly understand your value as a person. And that's kind of the star in itself. In a more traditional deck, the star is usually naked, and she's standing on kind of a shore and scooping water out of the lake of life, so to speak. So both of those things are representative in to really appreciate your true self and to have that connection, that self-esteem and confidence. None of those things come from worldly status. They don't come from physical beauty. They don't come from physical strength. The strength is within, and it's about our spirit and our soul and all of those kinds of things. So that's the big reason why I like that this is the story and the mythology and the goddess that is represented for the star. Because a lot of times we think, oh, well, I've come into my own. It's because I can buy what I want, I can do what I want, and all of these very physical things. But success and love of yourself really kind of comes from what you perceive and what is fulfilling. And money isn't fulfilling for everybody. Status isn't fulfilling for everyone. Passion may not be the thing that fulfills people. It is up to you to decide. And only you know what is that core thing. So I think it's really interesting the way that it's like, no, peel back all this stuff. Peel back what society has told you. Peel back the things, the labels that have been given to you, and find out who you are at the very core. So I think that's a really good card to have on a Tuesday as we continue to work through the week and work through to the end of the month. I hope we end on as much of a high note. I don't think I've looked at any other cards in the major arcana that weren't like terrifying and horrible. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully we end on a super high note tomorrow on a Wednesday in the middle of the week. Which again, to me is really weird to end a month in the middle of the week, but whatever. And that's just me talking random. And as I'm blathering on, I just want to remind you, check out the links in the description below for all the cool stuff that I do elsewhere in the internet. And until next time, be safe, stay healthy, and enjoy the cool weather that is coming. It is starting to peek its head out. So enjoy, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!